How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the SmackDown results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. Now, I haven't posted up a SmackDown review in a while. Thing is, I haven't watched SmackDown in a while. But I had to watch this one, seeing as how Christian is returning on this week's SmackDown. So, it kicks off right off the bat with an Elimination Chamber Qualifying match. It was Antonio Cesaro versus Dolph Ziggler in a pretty nice back and forth match between the two. One of the highlights of the match, actually, or one of the cool spots, was Antonio Cesaro went for his uppercut, where he throws the guy in the air and then hits him with the uppercut. Except this one, I think this is the first time I've seen it countered, or at least first time I've seen it countered that way. Actually, I think Daniel Bryan countered it once on Ryan, so a roll-up or something. But Dolph Ziggler countered it with his signature DDT, the jumping DDT. That was pretty cool. I was expecting that. I was expecting, Antonio to actually hit the uppercut. And in the end, Dolph Ziggler goes for the zigzag on Antonio Cesaro, but Antonio Cesaro holds on to the ropes and then kind of bounces back or pushes Ziggler back. Ziggler falls back first onto the mat. And then Antonio Cesaro grabs him and hits the big swing. Afterwards, he follows that up with the neutralizer, covers him, gets the 3 count, wins the match, and qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. So looking forward to seeing Cesaro in his first Elimination Chamber match. And I thought this was a nice way to kick off, SmackDown here. And after that, you had the Shield, who cut a promo on what happened to them on Monday, where the Wyatt family cost them the match up against John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and Sheamus. It cost them their opportunity to get inside the Elimination Chamber. Dean Ambrose is the one talking at first, saying that if they were inside the Elimination Chamber, that one of them would win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then when he says that, Roman Reigns nods in approval, and he's smiling, and then Dean Ambrose kind of looks at him, and he's like, what, you think it would, it'd be you'd be the one winning? And then Reigns looks at him and says, no, I don't think, I know. Actually, he says, I don't think so, I know so. And then him and Dean Ambrose kind of get into an argument. Dean Ambrose is like, you think you're going to win the match, you would win the Elimination Chamber just because you set a record at the Royal Rumble. And then he goes on to say he's not going to apologize for trying to eliminate him at the Rumble. And then Reigns says, well, I'm not going to apologize either for actually eliminating you from the Royal Rumble match. And then Dean Ambrose says, maybe next time I'm not going to sneak around and, throw you from the back. Instead, I'm going to do it right to your face. And then Seth Rollins separates them as usual, tells them to not fight or whatever. They're stop arguing, and eventually, basically what they're trying to say is they want the Wyatt family. They want to fight. They want to fight the Wyatt family. And at that point, Triple H comes out. Actually, my bad. Vicky Guerrero comes out, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make history." And then Triple H music hits, and he interrupts Vicky before, her probably trying to announce a matchup between the Wyatt and the Shield. He comes down the ring, and he tells the Shield basically to get over it, let it go, and, to just forget about it. But the Shields, they still want to fight the Wyatts. Seth Rollins tells Triple H, with all due respect, you could, if you saw it from our perspective, and then Triple H says, I did see it from your perspective, and, he still says to let it go. But then Reigns confronts Triple H, or goes face-to-face with Triple H, and tells him he's not, or they're not looking for his approval. At the end, Triple H kind of gives in, and he's like, alright, if you guys are, set on doing this, then I'm going to profit off of it. And then he announces the matchup for the Elimination Chamber, the Wyatt family versus the Shield, 3-on-3. After that, you get a matchup between Fandango and Xavier Woods, R-Truth on commentary. Really short match, kind of like the short match they had a couple weeks back on Raw. And except this time, though, Fandango won with a different move. He won with a suplex, kind of a sit-out suplex, and covered Xavier Woods, beat him. And you had Emma during the matchup. Emma was like, in the crowd with her sign. But this time, Summer Rae actually acknowledged her and grabbed the sign and tore it up. And and Emma just grabbed another sign and then, raised that sign up. So, after the match, Fandango tries to, hit another suplex, sit-out slam or whatever on Xavier Woods, but R-Truth comes in for the save, and he hits his suplex into a stunner move. And that was pretty much it for that matchup segment. Actually, afterwards, you see Fandango on the outside also grab Emma's new sign and throw it on the ground. And after that, it was a tag team match, the Primetime Players versus RybackAxel. The match was real short, like 2 minutes, and Titus O'Neil did not get tagged in at all. It was just Darren Young versus Curtis Axel and Ryback, pretty much. So, in the beginning, it was Darren Young and Curtis Axel, and then Ryback gets tagged in. Once Ryback gets tagged in, at some point, he throws Darren Young to the outside of the ring. He stays on the inside, though. And then once Darren Young gets up, Curtis Axel goes on the outside. Well, he was already on the outside. But he tries to punch Darren Young, but Darren Young counters and punches him back, taking him down. Then Darren Young tries to go back in the ring, and when he does, Ryback kicks him just as he's about to get inside the ring. And then once Darren Young fully gets inside the ring, Ryback bounces off the ropes, hits him with a meat hook clothesline. And then he tags in Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel gets in, hits his Hangman Facebuster finisher. I think that's what it's called, or Hangman Neckbreaker face. I'm not sure. He hits his freaking finisher and covers Darren Young, wins the match. It was real short, and you saw right away Titus O'Neil looked pissed, or he looked disappointed, and he then gets in the ring and starts yelling at Darren Young and telling him, what was that? That was 2 minutes or whatever. And then Darren Young grabs the microphone and says, what's wrong, and, we're not just friends, or we're not just partners, we're like brothers. And, Titus O'Neil grabs the microphone and says, he says, Darren Young says we're like family. And then Titus O'Neil says, no, we're not like family. And he proceeds to talk about how, ever since he teamed up with Darren Young, that he's been known as a loser, he's been losing all these matches, and he's been known as a winner all his life. And that's what he wants to do, win. At that point, I thought he was gonna cut a promo similar, or make a reference to his, NXT promo like a long time ago when he said, if you want to win, you need to win, or if you're gonna win, you need to win, or I don't know, I don't freaking know. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The Titus O'Neil promo on NXT. Bottom line, he's saying that he was a winner all his life, and then he kind of goes to leave, and Darren Young's like, come on, man, calm down, or whatever. And then Titus, right before leaving, he kind of stops, looks back at Darren Young, and then he hits him with a boot. And after that, he starts punching him while Darren Young's down. And then he kicks Darren Young out of the ring, grabs him by the neck, and throws him onto the barricade, and throws him once again onto the barricade, so twice. Kind of like when Antonio Cesaro, had the Miz, and he, swung him onto the barricade a bunch of times. Kind of like the same thing, but instead of grabbing the person by the legs, he grabbed Darren Young by the neck or the head. And that was pretty much it for his assault or attack on Darren Young. And by the way, Darren Young was bleeding from the mouth again, after the match show. I don't know what's up with Darren Young, but he always freaking gets busted open in the mouth. He always starts bleeding from the mouth. Whenever he has a match, I don't know, 70% of the time, 75% of the time, something like that, we always see him bleeding from the mouth in the end. What's up with that? It's like a freaking, freaking flow of air just, goes on his lips or something, and then it starts bleeding. I don't know. But anyways, afterwards, you had the return of Christian, and not just in any matchup. It was for an Elimination Chamber qualifying match against Jack Swagger, the other half of the Real Americans. And I really enjoyed this match too. I like the counters, I like the pacing of the match. At some point, you had Jack Swagger kind of doing Antonio Cesaro's move. Actually, it's not really Antonio Cesaro's move, but, he grabbed Christian, threw him up in the air, and then I was wondering, was he just going to drop Christian to the mat, or what was he going to do to follow up that move. But he actually followed it up by catching or grabbing Christian's leg before he fell on the mat into the ankle lock. But Christian got out of that. And Christian did go for the kill switch, but Jack Swagger got out of it, countered it. I feel like most of Christian's matches, the unprettier always, or the kill switch always gets countered. But, then he usually ends up hitting the move anyways. But usually his first attempt, it gets countered. And he actually didn't win the matchup with the kill switch. He won the matchup once Jack Swagger, or actually Zeb Coulter, by the way, was on commentary. It was yelling at Jack Swagger, telling him to capitalize or whatever, because he had Christian on the floor. On the mat, in position kind of for the Swagger Bomb, or for Jack Swagger to... I think it's called the Swagger Bomb, right? When he goes for... Actually, I'm not sure if it's called the Swagger Bomb. Because I'm not sure... Is the Gut Wrench Powerbomb the Swagger Bomb, or is the move where Jack Swagger freaking does a splash from the second rope, is that the Swagger Bomb? I think that's Swagger Bomb, so I'm just going to call it that. If I'm wrong and it's the Gut Wrench Powerbomb, then correct me in the comment section. Anyways, he goes for the Swagger Bomb, and because Zeb Coulter was like, come on, do it or whatever, capitalize on it, get on him or whatever. So Jack Swagger then goes towards Christian, goes for it, but Christian catches him by putting his boot up, and then he climbs up the top turnbuckle, and Swagger follows him, but Christian punches him a couple times, takes him off the turnbuckle, or the top rope, and then he hits the frog splash on Swagger for the 3 counts. And we haven't seen Christian use the frog splash as a finisher for a while. I know he, used it for a while, 2 years back or so, as a finisher, maybe 1 year back, I'm not sure, but then he kind of stopped using it and went back to the kill switch. But it looks like now he's back to using it. I'm not sure. I guess Christian has 2 finishers, the kill switch and the frog splash. And, Christian wins and qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. So this is not only Antonio Cesaro's first chamber match, but it's also Christian's first chamber match. And after that, you had actually an interview with Christian backstage, Renee Young interviewing Christian about him qualifying for the chamber, earning a spot in the chamber, and then Christian says that's the key word right there, earning it, because that's what I've done, that's what I've been doing, everything I've I've earned in the WWE, and that he's realized that after all, the injuries he's gotten and all the punishment he's been through, that his a window of opportunity to win the World Heavyweight Championship, or the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, has gotten shorter or smaller. And says because of that, he's now desperate, or people can see that as desperation, and he says that's what it is, he's desperate. But what he wants is his chamber opponents to see, or to think that desperation is weakness, but in actuality, he's using that desperation to become the most dangerous Christian yet. Also, they had an Alexander Rusev video where he was cutting a promo, and he said something along the lines in the end that it's like the Alex Rusev era, or the domination of Alex Rusev starts now, something like that. And they also showed a Hall of Fame video for Jake the Snake Roberts. It was the same one as on Raw. And anyways, after the Christian interview, it was Kofi Kingston versus Damien Sandow. And the match was real short, 2-3 minutes long. Damien Sandow went for his finisher, his neckbreaker finisher, and Kofi Kingston got out of it, and then a few seconds afterwards he goes for SOS, hits it, gets the 3 count, wins the match. So Damien Sandow's losing streak continues, and he looked pretty, disappointed after the match. And I'm talking about Damien Sandow here. But anyways, afterwards it was Cody Rhodes versus Road Dogg, and Cody won the matchup. You had Goldust and Billy Gunn fight on the outside, and then Billy Gunn went on the apron to try and distract Cody, but Cody hit him with the disaster kick, and then Road Dogg tried to take advantage of the distraction by rolling up Cody, but Cody kicked out, and then I thought he was going to go for Crossroads, but actually he went for another disaster kick and hit it on Road Dogg this time, covered him, and won the match. And after the match, they kept on brawling. but Cody and Goldust got the better of it, and Billy Gunn and Road Dogg just got the hell out of there. And after that, it was time for the main event. The Shield were in the ring, and the Wyatt family actually were on the Titantron and cut a promo. It was a pretty cool promo, actually, and you heard Luke Harper talk. In the end, Bray Wyatt says, you might not want to invite the Devils in your backyard because they might like it and stay. And then once they leave, Eric Rowan kind of stares at the screen with his mask on and says, run. After that, Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, and Sheamus came out for the main event. It was a 6-man tag team match. And it was a good matchup. I loved the ending of the match. The ending was really chaotic. The ending, I guess, sequence of that tag team match lasted a pretty long time, where I thought it was going to end maybe sooner than it did or was going to. But yeah, it was a cool ending sequence. And a lot of times I judge tag team matches by how good the ending sequence was, because you know how every tag team match always ends in chaos in the end, where you've got everybody just going in the ring, interrupting pinfalls, and then this guy hitting his finish on this guy taking this guy out, and then, it's down to the two legal guys, and what happens next, Anyways, yeah, Daniel Bryan at some point, they're actually at the end of the match, towards the end, Roman Reigns charged at Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was, right in front of the ropes, so he pulls down the ropes, Roman Reigns falls to the outside. Daniel Bryan then goes for the suicide dive on Reigns. He hits it, and then he quickly goes back in the ring where Seth Rollins is. And I'm thinking he's going to hit a dropkick on running dropkick on Seth or something like that. But actually, because he's running towards Seth at this point. He runs towards Seth Rollins runs towards him. I think he went for a clothesline on Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan ducked, and he hit a suicide dive on the outside, the other side onto Dean Ambrose. So that was pretty cool. And then Seth Rollins, who was still running, gets caught by Sheamus into the Irish Curse. And then when Sheamus turns around, he gets hit by Roman Reigns, who hits him with a Superman punch. But once Reigns hit that move, he kind of had his head down, or his hair was kind of covering his eyes or whatever. So it doesn't see that Daniel Bryan is up on the top turnbuckle, and he hits a missile dropkick on Reigns. And afterwards, he covers him. Reigns kicks out. He follows that up right away by locking him in the yes lock. But 2 seconds afterwards, or something like that, 5 seconds maybe, Dean Ambrose comes in and interrupts the submission. He kicks Daniel Bryan. But Sheamus, he grabs Dean Ambrose by the legs and drags him to the outside of the ring. And Dean Ambrose grabs Sheamus, shoves him onto the steel post shoulder first, so Sheamus sells his shoulder, but at the same time he turns around and hits the bro kick on Ambrose while still, holding his shoulder in pain. And then Daniel Bryan, now back in the ring, Daniel Bryan tags in Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio climbs up the top turnbuckle, he hits a senton on Reigns, and then I think he followed that up with a drop kick on the back of Reigns, so Reigns then falls on the second rope, in position for the 619. And then Rey sees that Seth Rollins tries to get in the ring. He gets on the apron, but before he gets in the ring, Rey Mysterio drop kicks him off the apron. And then Daniel Bryan gets on the apron, hits a running knee from the apron to Seth Rollins. Reigns is now up, so he tries a powerbomb or some sort of move on Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio gets out of it. Reigns charges Rey, but Rey drop kicks him in the knee or on the legs. And Reigns once again falls on the second ropes. Rey Mysterio then bounces off the opposite side, the other ropes. But just like at Survivor Series when Rey Mysterio tried to hit the 619, Roman Reigns caught him with a spear for the 1, 2, 3. And the Shield wins the 6-man tag main event. So, great main event. And that was pretty much it for SmackDown. Afterwards, the Shield, of course, celebrated outside the ring, while Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, and Rey Mysterio inside the ring looking at them. And that was it. So what did I think about tonight's SmackDown? Well, right off the bat, I'll say I liked SmackDown tonight. It was a good show. It really was. I liked the opening. Like the end, the last matchup. Like the fact that Christian returned. So, highlights Christian returning, qualifying for the Elimination Chamber for the first time. To be honest with you guys, actually, I didn't realize this was going to be Christian's first Elimination Chamber match until Michael Cole pointed it out on commentary. And I was like, oh, that's right, he's never been in an Elimination Chamber match, so it's going to be pretty cool to see Christian in the chamber for the first time, as well as Cesaro. This chamber match is looking pretty damn good. I mean, the lineup of superstars in the match is really good. You got Randy, John Cena, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, Christian, Antonio Cesaro. It really has, good lineup of superstars and should be a good matchup. Also, the primetime players, no longer being a team. Titus O'Neil turning on Darren Young, turning heel. I like it, but at the same time, I really like the primetime players as a team. I wanted to see them win the tag team titles at some point. But now that they're no longer a team, it looks like that's not going to happen. At least not in the near future, unless, down the line they reunite and then maybe, get a run with the championships. But what I do like about it is the fact that they did it on SmackDown. Because usually those, superstars turning on their partners or whatever, their friends, that usually happens like on Raw. But I like the fact they did it on SmackDown, because it makes SmackDown feel more important, because that's something important. These guys have been a team for a while, and now Titus O'Neil turns his back on Darren Young, attacks him. Whenever things like that happen, whenever important storyline progression happens on SmackDown, I'm happy about it. Because, one of the reasons why I don't watch SmackDown as often as Raw, I never miss Raw. I rarely miss Raw. If I miss Raw, I'll usually watch a replay. But, one of the reasons I often miss SmackDown, or sometimes don't watch SmackDown, is because it doesn't feel the same anymore as Raw. It doesn't feel as important. It feels like a slightly more important version than maybe Superstars. I've said this before, I feel sometimes it feels like Superstars, but with main event Superstars. But I'm proud to say this SmackDown felt pretty important. You had, more tension, I guess, between Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger, which seems like maybe Jack Swagger might leave the Real Americans, might turn face. Same with Damien Sandow. I could possibly see him turning face, because this losing streak storyline right now kind of reminds me of MVP when he was on a losing streak, and then he turned face and started winning again. Also, Christian returning, that I mentioned that. Also, the fact that he also got to cut a promo. He got some promo time. Not only was it a matchup like last time when he returned on Raw, he just had a random matchup with Wade Barrett, and that was it. This time, he got an important match to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, qualified, and then cut a pretty good promo backstage. And also, the Wyatt Family versus the Shield being announced. That's a pretty important match for the Elimination Chamber, and it got announced on SmackDown. Of course, the Chamber match participants being finalized. Now we know all 6 participants. I like that too. I like the fact that we know all 6 participants like right off the bat. The week after the Rumble, we already know who's going to be in the Chamber. And right now they've got, I think, 4 weeks or maybe 3 weeks to build up for the matchup. And also something else I wanted to talk about was, I was thinking when Christian would return, he'd go after the Shields, since, the Shield were the ones to take him out. But, and also Edge, cut a promo saying, we're telling Christian once he returns to go after the Shield. But it seems they forgot about that. But you know what? I'm actually happy about it, because now Christian is in the Elimination Chamber. Would have liked him to return at the Rumble, though, as I predicted, but doesn't matter anyways. As far as a rating for tonight's SmackDown, I would give it anywhere from a 7 to a 7.5 on 10, closer to a 7.5. And while there was a lot of short matches, I really did enjoy Christian's return, the 2 qualifying matches for the Chamber, and it was a really, really solid main event matchup. So, that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, you can click that like button down below and stay tuned for the coming days, because I'll be posting up a lot of online matches again. With that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.